Have you ever wondered how depression affects wealth? Or perhaps how debt restructuring might play a role in this complex dynamic? Well, today we're delving into these intriguing concepts. Imagine walking into a bar and ordering a beer. You promise to pay later and place it on a tab. This promise of payment becomes an asset to the bartender. But what happens when you fail to keep that promise? This asset essentially becomes worthless. This is a simplified version of what happens during a depression. People discover that their perceived wealth isn't actually there. In such situations, many lenders agree to a process called debt restructuring. This is where the initial agreement is altered to allow borrowers to pay back less over a longer time frame or at a lower interest rate. Why? Because lenders would rather receive a little of something than all of nothing. However, debt restructuring is not without its pitfalls. While it reduces debt, it also causes income and asset values to decrease at an even faster rate. This results in a worsening debt burden. It's a painful and deflationary process. These changes also impact the central government. Lower incomes and less employment mean less tax revenue, yet the government needs to increase spending due to rising unemployment and the need for financial support and stimulus plans. This leads to exploding budget deficits. Essentially, the government spends more than it earns in taxes. To fund these deficits, governments are left with two choices: raise taxes or borrow money. But with falling incomes and rising unemployment, where will the money come from? The answer is the wealthy. As wealth is heavily concentrated within a small percentage of the population, governments naturally raise taxes on the wealthy, leading to a redistribution of wealth. However, this redistribution can lead to resentment and social disorder. The wealthy, squeezed by a weak economy and higher taxes, begin to resent the have-nots. If the depression continues, tensions can rise, not just within countries, but also between debtor and creditor nations. This pressure can lead to political changes, sometimes extreme. The 1930s provide a stark example of this. The Depression led to the rise of Hitler, war in Europe, and further depression in the United States. Under pressure to end the depression, central banks, who have the power to print money, are forced into action. When credit disappears and people are desperate for money, central banks lower interest rates to nearly zero and begin printing money. Unlike spending cuts, debt reduction, and wealth redistribution, printing money is inflationary and stimulative. The central bank prints new money and uses it to buy financial assets and government bonds. It's a strategy that was used in the United States during the Great Depression and again in 2008, when the Federal Reserve printed over $2 trillion. In conclusion, depression, debt, and wealth are intricately linked. Debt restructuring plays a significant role in this dynamic, impacting lenders, borrowers, and governments alike. The redistribution of wealth and the printing of money by central banks are key strategies in managing these complex relationships. But remember, these strategies come with their own sets of challenges and repercussions.